So what actually happened was, it was on the 4th of October, nearly 3 years ago. The reason I remember the date is it was my birthday, and I was waking up, and you know, we probably dream quite a lot as we wake up, but I was actually awake, and in this scenario I was outside in Shrewsbury, walking through a park, and a man called Steve Hawley was with me, who at the time was coming to Holy Trinity, but he's now moved from the area. And I came across a group of Christians singing worship songs in this open space somewhere in Shrewsbury. It might have been in the quarry, or it might have been in another park. That's immaterial really. It was in an open space somewhere in Shrewsbury, and there was a group of Christians, quite a large group of Christians, spontaneously singing Christian songs, and Graham Kendrick was leading them, which means it's quite sort of old-fashioned really, because Graham Kendrick is still making records. I know he's making CDs, but he's not one of the current group of well-known Christian songwriters. So, and Steve Hawley was with me and said, "Don't you know that this is happening throughout Shrewsbury? Groups of Christians are spontaneously breaking into worship songs." And that was it really. So later that day, I was due to meet Richard about something else. I can't remember what it was, in the vicarage, and I thought, well, I'd better share this with him, because this is a very vivid experience, and it's not like other dreams or something that you just imagine as you're wakening up, because you forget those, and they're usually all jumbled and don't make any sense really. They're just basically a jumbled mixture of our thoughts. But this was all very, very clear, very precise, and it was still vivid, so much so that I can remember it now. So I shared it with Richard, and he said, well, because I really wasn't sure whether it was from God or just my imagination. But why would it be my imagination about spontaneous Christian worship? And he said, no, this is from God. This is a prophecy from God. This is definitely Christian, and it's bona fide. So that evening we were having worship in church, which was a forerunner of what we do now at Bellevue Youth Club. But I think it was in the time before we had the meal, because it used to be preceded by a meal in the hall. That's immaterial in a way. But I went to that worship, and I shared this with the other people who were there, and there weren't an awful lot of people there. And so I think it was Josie who said, well, really, that needs to be acted upon. That's a word from God, and he's calling us into action. So towards the end of the time of worship, we went outside and sang the song we'd been singing in church, at the front of the church, spilling out onto the pavement, not onto the road, because it was dark. It was October so it was dark by the time this point in the evening. And that's what we did, and it felt absolutely wonderful. And it still does now, and I still think about it, and I've shared it with other people. And yes, Steve Hawley didn't know about it, because at the time he and his wife Val were away on holiday in New Zealand, so I didn't get a chance to tell them. They were away for about 3 or 4 weeks. I didn't get a chance to tell them until much later. In fact, I think when I was sharing it at a 10:30 service for the whole church, which was months later probably.